To Smith, that's a good sign for Smith.
Gets the looks that she likes. She's going to be on fire for Dallas.
How about Golden State coming off that 76?
The roar of 18,000 fans inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse seemed to dissolve into a strange and sudden quiet for Caitlin Clark the moment her eyes found him in the third row during a timeout. A small boy of no more than 9, tears streaming silently down his cheeks as he clutched a homemade sign that read, "My dad can't see me play because he's in heaven," while the adults around him celebrated her record-breaking performance as though nothing else in the world existed. And for a fleeting instant she felt as though time itself had folded, allowing her to see not the arena, not the scoreboard, not the cheering supporters, but the ghost of her younger self 15 years earlier, sitting in similar bleachers with a broken heart and a hope she wasn't sure still mattered without the person who had believed in her dreams more fiercely than anyone else. How extraordinary it is that in an arena drenched in joy, a single child's grief can slice through the noise and remind us that the most meaningful victories are not always measured in points or trophies, but in the quiet moments when someone chooses to notice the pain hidden behind another person's brave smile. What unfolded that night would reveal that true greatness has very little to do with athletic brilliance and everything to do with recognizing when another human being, especially a child, needs reassurance that their small place in the world still matters, even when their heart has been shattered. Caitlin had been on fire that night, with 38 points by the end of the third quarter against the Las Vegas Aces, her three-pointers falling with rhythmic precision, the crowd roaring with every release of the ball. It was the kind of electric atmosphere that reminded her why she loved basketball, why she had chosen to remain in the WNBA despite lucrative overseas offers that would have doubled her salary, because she believed in the league, in its players, and in the young fans who saw themselves in her. But during that timeout, as she wiped sweat from her forehead and listened half-heartedly to her coach's instructions, something tugged at her attention with the force of memory and empathy. The sight of that little boy sitting completely still while the people around him jumped and shouted, his small hands gripping that sign as though it were the only thing stopping him from floating away in the storm of emotions churning inside him. His name, though she did not yet know it, was Tyler Martinez, a 9-year-old living with his grandmother in a modest flat on the east side of Indianapolis, who had saved his allowance for 6 months to buy a single ticket to see his hero play. His father, Sergeant Miguel Martinez, had been killed in Afghanistan 8 months earlier, and Tyler had been stumbling through a darkness no child should ever have to navigate. Miguel had been more than just a parent. He had been Tyler's basketball coach, his bedtime storyteller, his biggest cheerleader, and his best friend, the man who had taught him to shoot in their cracked driveway, who had run drills with him in the fading light, who had promised that one day they would sit in this very arena together and watch Caitlin Clark light it up in person. The ticket Tyler held was meant for both of them, a father and son moment carved out in anticipation, now fractured by loss. His grandmother, Rosa, had hoped that bringing him to the game might lift him, even just a little, might remind him of joy, of possibilities, of dreams not yet buried beneath grief. But the sign he held was not for the crowd. It was his attempt to bring his father into the moment, his way of bridging earth and heaven with a child's determination to make sure his dad still felt included. Caitlin found herself glancing at him again and again between plays, the image of his small shoulders shaking quietly, pulling loose a memory she had tucked away long ago. Being 8 years old, sitting in the bleachers with a sign about her grandfather, her own silent heartbreak invisible to the adults bustling around her, the feeling of grief pressing against her ribcage with nowhere to go. She knew that stillness, that loneliness, that desperate hope that someone, anyone, might notice. And so, with 2 minutes left in the game and the Fever leading by 15, she made a decision that surprised even her teammates. During a free throw, she walked to the scorer's table, leaned down, and whispered something to the arena announcer, then pointed directly at Tyler. A hush fell over the crowd just before the announcer's voice echoed powerfully through the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, Caitlin Clark would like to dedicate tonight's performance to Tyler Martinez, whose father, Sergeant Miguel Martinez, made the ultimate sacrifice serving our country in Afghanistan. Tyler, this one's for you, and for your dad. The arena erupted into thunderous applause, but Caitlin had more to give. She stepped to the sideline, signed a basketball with quick, purposeful strokes, and handed it to security with instructions to deliver it to Tyler. but it was the message she wrote on the ball that would live in his heart forever. Later, when Tyler received it, he read the words slowly, his hands trembling. "Your dad is proud of you. More than you know. Keep playing. Keep dreaming. I'm cheering for you too. CC." That simple sentence, written with genuine compassion, became the moment Tyler's world shifted ever so slightly back toward the light. It wasn't the applause that moved him, nor the cameras that later captured his stunned reaction. It was the feeling of being seen, truly seen, by someone he admired, someone who understood grief not as a distant concept but as a lived reality. What happened after the game deepened the impact. Caitlin requested to meet Tyler privately, wrapping him in a gentle hug as his tears soaked into her jersey, speaking to him softly about his father, about bravery, about the way love never disappears but changes shape. She invited him to future games, arranged for him to attend a youth basketball camp through her foundation, and promised Rosa that Tyler's dreams would not fade for lack of support. That night reminded everyone watching that compassion is its own form of greatness, that heroes are not only found in uniform or on scoreboards, but in the quiet courage of those who choose kindness when they could simply walk past. And in that brief but powerful encounter between a grieving child and an athlete who remembered what it felt like to hurt, something beautiful happened. Two lives, bruised by loss, found a moment.
Athleticism of Gabby Williams.
Cowan just into the game, gets in August.
I don't believe it.
And it's two kids.
Sometimes, the most profound healing does not come from grand gestures or expensive gifts, but from the simplest acts of recognition that tell someone their pain matters, that their story is seen, and that the memory of their loved one is honored by people who understand the weight of loss. Such was the moment when a security guard handed 9-year-old Tyler Martinez a signed basketball from Caitlin Clark, and for the first time in months, his tears stopped, his small hands trembling as he read the words she had written. "Tyler, your dad is watching every shot you take and cheering for every dream you chase. Champions aren't made by winning games, but by how they honor the people who believed in them. Keep playing for him. Love, Caitlin Clark." But Caitlin was not content to let the moment remain only a gesture. Instead of returning to the game, she climbed into the stands and sat beside Tyler, placing an arm gently around him, the roar of the 18,000-strong crowd fading into background white noise as she spoke quietly to him, their conversation inaudible to anyone else yet transformative for both. "What did your dad teach you about basketball?" she asked softly, her voice barely rising above the distant cheers and whistles. Tyler hesitated. Then, with a voice shaky but steadier than it had been in months, he said that his father had told him it was never about being the best player, but about never giving up, even when the world seemed impossibly hard. Caitlin squeezed his shoulder and told him that his father was still teaching him that lesson, that every time he carried on despite sadness, every time he missed him yet continued to dream, he was showing the arena, and indeed the world, what a true champion looked like. That brief conversation, lasting barely 3 minutes, changed Tyler's life in ways that extended far beyond the bounds of that arena, because for the first time since his father's death, he felt seen, understood, and supported by someone, honored both his grief and his father's memory. As Caitlin returned to the court, Tyler rose to his feet and cheered, a rare smile breaking through the sorrow, and his grandmother Rosa watched, tears streaming freely, not from sorrow but from relief and joy at witnessing the first spark of hope and happiness in her grandson in months. Videos of the interaction circulated rapidly online, not because of the signed basketball or the public dedication, but because people recognized something genuine, beautiful, and deeply human in Caitlin's choice to stop and truly see a child's grief, to respond not with pity or publicity, but with empathy and presence. Yet Caitlin's influence did not end that night. She invited Tyler to several future games as a special honorary team member, not a charity case, introducing him to her teammates who embraced him as family, teaching him that belonging can be chosen, nurtured, and felt through care and shared experience, and helping him reconnect with basketball, the sport that had bonded him to his father. She enrolled him in a youth league, provided proper equipment, and attended his first game post-loss, cheering as he made his first basket, each shot a testament to resilience, continuity, and hope. Tyler's transformation extended beyond the court. His academic engagement improved as he discovered motivation and purpose once more. His bond with his grandmother strengthened as he began speaking openly about his emotions. And most importantly, he learned that his father's death did not mark an end, but rather a new form of relationship, where lessons in love, perseverance, and courage continued to guide him even in physical absence. Tyler's resilience, gratitude, and determination became a living lesson to Caitlin, her team, and the wider community, reminding everyone that basketball, like life, is about far more than points or trophies. It is about honoring those who came before us, showing courage in the face of hardship, and lifting others along the way. Within 6 months, Tyler was thriving in his youth league, excelling under proper coaching, developing leadership skills, and serving as a source of inspiration for peers who had experienced loss, encouraging them to pursue dreams, to carry forward the love and guidance of those no longer present, and to find joy and purpose